up, cyberpunks and retro nerds? Johnny Rocket here, back with another awesome old school movie review. We're taking it back to when me and this guy, Mr. Sam Nedel, our guest star, we watched this flick a ton back in the day. Sammy, what are we watching?
We are watching The Doom Generation by Gregg Araki.
Yes. This is technically the second in that series of disaffected youth movies.
Oh, the teenage apocalyptic trilogy.
I never knew there were any others.
Yes, but this is, I don't know, probably my favorite of the three, honestly.
Definitely.
And, yeah, I haven't seen it in 20 years. I'm super stoked to see it again, so y'all know this part, right? Old Tommy Boy is gonna dig up the trailer, peep that shits! And when we get back, you'll know our opinion on Doom Generation.
I feel really weird tonight. Like something's gonna happen.
Me too.
What's your name anyway?
Xavier.
Is it cool if I just call you X?
There's something evil about him.
3666.
Wake up, girlie.
What are you gonna do, shoot us?
Scram! Did I ask you to do us any big favors, huh?
Well, pardon me for rescuing your ingrained ass.
The suspects appear to be heading north.
I hope we die simultaneously. Like a nuclear bomb blast or something.
You're so romantic.
You're giving me an erection.
666.
Have either of you ever had sex with an animal?
Just you.
Should be considered armed and dangerous.
Scares me, Jordan.
Have you ever done that?
Like, have sex with two people at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
No. Don't.
I love you, darling. You said you love me?
You know that I really only love you.
I love you can mean a lot of things.
Got done watching The Doom Generation, and man, what a treat of 90s cult cinema this was. I mean, I will say there are some aspects of it that maybe not have aged quite as well. There are definitely a lot of scenes I don't remember quite so much, and I remember things differently, so that kind of affected my viewing of it anyway, but it was still a treat to rewatch, despite this being the most beat up VHS in the North American continent.
Dale over here.
Yeah, I'll give props to Tom's VCR powering through this thing because my God, it was a.
It tried.
We seriously, I mean, it needs an oil bath after this.
Well, it's kind of part of the charm, though.
What'd you think, man?
Well, I still love the film. It was great to rewatch it after so many years, and it had been long enough that I had actually forgotten a few things that happen, and it does, you know.
Yeah.
You feel that. So I mean, I still think a lot of it holds up. Great 90s aesthetic. We were like that. We were very much like that, minus the killing. Well, the the doom.
The angst and the vinegar.
Yeah, but just like driving around in cars, eating junk food, smoking cigarettes.
Wow, okay. I definitely remember saying half the shit that they said in this movie.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, holy shit, it's like, I remember saying it to people, trying to insult them or just tell them to fuck off, basically.
Yeah. Sit and spit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there were some intense parts, some crazy ass parts, and one really fucking sad part for me, but other than that, it was pretty decent and definitely, yeah, makes you think back like, holy shit, we went through all that.
Right.
And then of course, like with the whole nostalgia of like the VCR, definitely like, man, I had the experience, like, because I remember having a shitty ass VCR and like they just would do that to the movies, and the movies would be like brand new.
Right.
And they would start going like making everything. You're like, what the fuck? Get the tracking going!
Yeah.
Oh god!
This had automatic tracking too. So
Right. The days before automatic tracking, you actually sit there with the knob and be like,
I mean, it was doing the best it could.
No, I thought it was like a pretty fun time. It does feel distinctly 90s, like everything about
Nothing
it.
wrong with that.
And oddly enough, it like vaguely reminded me of like an angsty teen version of a movie that Tom has shown me, like Lost Highway. Like to a certain extent, like less drama, more humor, but like I feel like there's some parallels there.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I mean, at 80 minutes, like I didn't feel like it overstayed its welcome.
No, that was 80 minutes.
I mean, it was an enjoyable experience overall for me.
I agree with what he said. When we were watching it, I was like, this reminds me of a movie we've seen already. And after, watching it further, I was like, oh yeah, this reminds me of Lost Highway.
I saw this movie at a very young age, and it kind of
Probably too young.
And it kind of like blew my freaking young mind. The artistic way that Gregg Araki makes his films really is another thing that I was exposed to independent cinema when I was younger. So, and the way he did it, I love it. It's spicy, it's bright, it's colorful, the sets are neat and fun. So, it's not just 100% drab. Same thing shows off, especially in Nowhere, because all the bedrooms are fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's for another review.
Watch that next.
Moving along. But yes, love this film. Do you know?
Hey boy. As a teenager, when I saw this, it was kind of like, this trio was so badass, and like every catchphrase was badass, and just the mood was badass, and you're like, yeah, I'm part of this. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, wow, this is cheesy as fuck. But it's also terrific. I mean, it's still great in a way. Like it's definitely like a roadmap of my teenage years.
Revisiting this movie, I thought was an absolute treat. I mean, Vidmark Entertainment, they have some sleazy movies, and this movie is definitely sleazy in its own way. Going back to what Dean was saying, there's certain moments in this movie that are kind of cringeworthy, and you look back on your youth, and let's face it, there's certain things that we've all done where you're just like, I would have done that differently, you know what I'm saying?
And you thought you were so cool and you were doing it too, and it's like, oh.
So it's relatable in those regards, but these characters, I mean, no one's really likable. I mean, you feel bad for some of them because they've got bad lives. These are people at their wits' end, and they're thrust into this kind of murderous situation, and then the bonkers ending I completely forgot about.
I don't know how you forgot about that scene.
Dude, it's been...
Things go pretty bad.
It's been like 15 years since I've seen this movie, and I've seen a lot of insane shit, throughout those years.
It's
so
true.
Yeah. So I mean, I like this movie a lot, and I thought everyone did a real good job. It feels like an indie movie, so the dialogue is well written, but it's got that kind of inexperienced execution that I kind of appreciate, like a Kevin Smith movie would have back in the day. So does this. So I liked this movie, and watching it with all my friends here tonight, drinking beers and just laughing and having a good time, it was an absolute treat.
Quite a film, and for like the meager budget this thing had, I think it was actually pretty well executed, and everybody delivered pretty well. So, man, all things said, I gotta give this a solid 8.5. Like, this is still a pretty good flick. Maybe not all of it stands the test of time, but I think enough of it does, and it's a great snapshot of 90s like counterculture, and it's worth a watch. The whole trilogy here is worth a watch. And you don't have to start in any particular order. You can start with this one.
Yeah, they're all different.
Find find Totally Fucked Up, find Nowhere, find Doom Generation. Watch them. Do it.
I agree with everyone that some of it's really cheesy, but I think it's true to itself in that cheese. Like, it really captures that 90s kind of, I don't know, the thing that we all did.
Yeah,
what we
right.
went through. Yeah. And so I guess maybe some of it's for nostalgia, but I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. It also had some great cameos, which I don't think any of us brought up.
Right.
I mean,
Perry Farrell for 2 seconds.
Roger Posey, Margaret Cho.
Yeah.
Like those were, So all of that, the whole package.
The cinematography was great, little signs, but there's a couple parts I'm like, man, that's just fucked up. I can't do that. So I'm gonna give it like a 6.
So while watching this, I already made like the Lost Highway reference, and that's just that actually is kind of like in the line delivery and the way the characters act. Because I actually feel like this movie is kind of self-aware, And the other movies I kind of thought about were like Gummo, or like Kids, where you got these people that are just, like, fucked up. So this is like the weird, like crossroads between those two, because it might not be as dark as like Kids or Gummo, whereas artsy is Lynch, but it's somewhere in between.
It's its own animal.
And so like it makes it interesting to watch. It's wholly unique, and then it captures like this '90s vibe pretty authentically. So I like it. I don't love it, but I think it's like a solid 7 out of 10 for me.
I don't have anything else to say.
So just give us a star count.
Lay it on us, girls. Star
My
count.
star count is an 8.
Oh shit, 8 is great.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Based off as a film, I'm gonna give this thing an 8.5, 9. But I'm gonna bump it up 1 star cap for something nobody else has mentioned yet. I don't think either. The banging ass soundtrack.
Yes.
Oh, it was good.
With some 9 Inch Nails right off
This
the
has a
rip.
really awesome, angsty, industrial, gloomy, grungy soundtrack, and I would love to find it on vinyl.
Yeah.
And
good point, man.
Yeah, so that bumps it up to a square 10 for me.
Oh,
Purely because of the soundtrack.
Damn.
Nice.
All right, man. Deaners.
Blast from the Past, like Dale said, soundtrack is phenomenal. Just makes such a great atmosphere. I mean, maybe not great for everyone, but great if like you were great if you were an angsty teenager in the mid to late 90s.
Like we
and
were.
I'll give this an 8.5.
I had a lot of fun with it, and that ending is super fucked up. I love exploitation,
Right.
and that was as horrifying as it was to watch. I couldn't help but go, "Damn, you went there." So, for that alone, with like this kind of like indie underground vibe to the overall movie, I got to give the Doom Generation a solid 8, 8.5 out of 10. Hope we've been informative, motherfuckers. Until next time, tune in to Need.